Hello and welcome to episode 494 of the podcast devoted to the classic and sometimes not so classic genre cinema of yesteryear. It is Monster Kid Radio, and I'm your writer, host, producer, Derek M. Cook, welcoming you to the show by playing a song from the band The Spiritones. They are a surf band based out of the UK. They just released a new single called Night of the Golden Sun. That's the song you're hearing right now. It came out earlier this month. You can pick it up for yourself at thespiritones.bandcamp.com. I'll make sure there's a link in the show notes. Of course, they gave us permission to play their music here on the show, and you'll hear this song in its entirety at the end of this episode. Happy almost Halloween, kind of, sort of. We are getting closer and closer to Halloween. So to celebrate Halloween, we're going to talk about some movies that you can watch during Halloween. We're going to talk about some Hammer films. We are inviting to the show old friend, filmmaker, Joshua Kennedy. Josh and I got together and we chatted a little bit about Hammer films in relation to, that holiday that I kept mentioning earlier, and what Hammer films work best for that holiday that I mentioned a second ago. This is a top 3 episode, the top 3 Hammer films that you can watch at Halloween. We haven't done a top 3 episode in a while, so it's going to be a lot of fun to hook up with Josh and talk about that. Of course, before that, we have Kenny's segment with his look at Famous Monsters of Filmland, and yeah, it's Hammer related as well, but we aren't just doing Hammer all the time in this episode. We have Mark Matzke with his Beta Capsule review, going through the Ultra franchise. We're still in Ultra Q, which is one of my absolute favorite series of all time, and Mark's doing an episode-by-episode breakdown. That'll be coming up here in a second. You know what? I just want to get on with it. Why don't we go ahead and get to all of that, plus an update about what's coming up on the stream right after this.
I am Dr. Lee Cushing. Welcome to my Chamber of Horrors.
Dr. Cushing's Chamber of Horrors is a monster rally novel in the tradition of the classic Universal and Hammer horror film. It's written by Stephen D. Sullivan, the award-winning author of White Zombie, Daikaiju Attack, Manos: The Hands of Fate, and one of the creators of the original Chill role-playing game.
This book recreates the thrills of the classic monster versus monster film. We've got vampires, werewolves, mummies, psychic twins, scheming madmen, and plenty of unexpected chills.
Now you can get Dr. Cushing's Chamber of Horrors in print, or for Kindle at Amazon.com and other fine retailers. Coming soon in other ebook formats. Find out more at CushingHorrors.com or SDSullivan.com, and support Steve's work through Patreon at PaySteve.com.
I do hope you've enjoyed your visit. Please come again. And remember, the chamber is always waiting for its next victim.
2 giant monster films, The War of the Gargantuas and Monster Zero. See the 2 mighty Gargantuas battle to the death. And on the same program, Rodan and Godzilla join forces to destroy the deadly Monster Zero. The War of the Gargantuas and Monster Zero. Both in color, rated G, general audience, from United Productions of America, a subsidiary of DEI Industries.
Live from the Land of Light in Nebula M78, home of the mighty Ultra Heroes, it's Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review. Terror of the Sweet Honey is the title of Ultra Q's 8th episode, which aired for the first time on February 20th, 1966. During a training flight, June and Ippei witness a train accident caused by an apparent landslide. After their visit to an agricultural research lab, they learn that the reason for the accident was decidedly more unnatural. Along with Dr. Ichinotani and Yuriko, they meet brilliant scientist Dr. Kimura, who has developed a growth accelerator called Honey Jellion, which has already increased the size of normal bees. Dr. Kimura and his fiancée Aiko seem destined for a happy future. That is, until a giant mole erupts from the ground, laying waste to villages and farmers' fields. Could a little mole have gotten into the Honey Jellion? Not without help, and Dr. Kimura's assistant Itami has been acting awfully suspicious lately. Will military might be enough to remove the giant pest? Terror of the Sweet Honey is a briskly paced entry in the Ultra Q canon and is similar in tone to many a classic Toho monster movie. Mongula, the giant mole, is a memorable figure complete with beady, illuminated eyes, whose only crime is being far too big for the world around him. His final showdown with the Japanese Defense Force features cleverly incorporated footage from Rodan and the Mysterians. The highlight of the episode is the appearance of Susumu Kurobe as Dr. Kimura. Kurobe's magnetic screen presence did not go unnoticed, as he was cast as the lead character Shin Hayata in Tsuburaya Productions' next big project, Ultraman, later that year. For Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review, this is Mark Matzke reporting.
The Mysterian! You are now inside a flying saucer. Our destination, the planet Earth. We are the Mysterian. Our race is old, dying, our planet dead. Only you of Earth, you and your women, can give us life. And what we want, we take. Swooping down from outer space, flowing up from the lower depths, the Mysterians. Creatures who knew the uttermost secrets of the atom before our planet was born. Love-hungry spacemen come to seize our women that their dying race may live. It started in the east. Soon it swept the west. The all-out horror of interplanetary war. See giant robots no earthly weapon can destroy rip a path of destruction across the land. See the forces of nature harnessed to the invader's will wipe entire cities from the face of the world. See the earth itself crumble beneath your feet. The Mysterians, threatening our civilization with weapons beyond the belief of modern science. Flying ray guns that blast everything before them. An impregnable fortress that hides in the earth. Gamma rays that melt the heaviest armament. As men and machines disintegrate before your eyes. The Mysterians. What power can stop their ruthless advance? See the blazing holocaust of an earth gone mad. See on the giant screen in flaming color. The Mysterian. Monster of is a skyscraper. When he moves, the whole earth quivers and quakes, and an abyss of horror opens up. See these prehistoric beasts emerge from the bowels of the earth after 200 million years to devastate mankind. Supersonic jets cannot catch him. See Rodan destroy a modern city, leveling it to the earth with a killing airstream of his mighty wings. Nothing can stop him. Nothing escapes this monstrous beast of evil.
Hello there, Monster Kid Radio heads. This is Kenny with a look at Famous Monsters of Filmland. Today, Derek and his guest Joshua Kennedy are going to discuss some of the best Hammer films for Halloween. I found the perfect article to accompany them entitled Pinnacle of Terror, Which Hammer Horror Would You Pick? By Randy Palmer, from FM 147, published in September of 1978. Randy Palmer was a regular contributor to many monster magazines from the 70s to his passing in 2002, and guitarist for the heavy metal band Be Demon. He also wrote 2 books, one on monster maker Paul Blaisdell, and another on the gore master Herschel Gordon Lewis. He has an interesting, well-thought-out opinion on what he considers the best Hammer film. It is the first article of this issue and covers 10 pages with 12 photos. Let's hear what Randy had to say. Hammer fans will insist that Hammer makes the best horror films in the world, and for the most part, that's true. For instance, Revenge of Frankenstein, The Devil's Bride, The Reptile, The Creeping Unknown, The Mummy, 5 Million Years to Earth, The Hound of the Baskervilles, The Curse of the Werewolf, Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, The Vampire Lovers, Dracula Prince of Darkness. Let's see, did I leave anything out? I can hear you right now, yelling your head off. How dare he leave out Horror of Dracula? Okay, I'll add it to the list. The Horror of Dracula. There. Satisfied? As any true Hammer buff knows, Horror of Dracula was their all-time best film, right? Well, I deny it. I'd say there's one other a bit better than that, but I won't say what it is just yet. He continues with a look at the popularity of Horror of Dracula until he announces this. Bear with me while I show you why Taste the Blood of Dracula is Hammer's crowning achievement. Randy makes his defense by briefly describing the plot, the sets, actors, music, and special effects. He concludes with these comments on the director. We now come to the director of this potent exercise in screen horror, Peter Sasdy. Mr. Sasdy had previously directed a number of television shows, and Taste the Blood of Dracula marked his debut in motion pictures. Sasdy knew from the start what he wanted to accomplish with the newest Dracula effort Hammer had offered him. I wanted to make the best Dracula picture ever, he told a publicist. I have nothing against the previous ones, but to want to do better is the natural progression of things. Sasdy has a true sense for the Gothic horror film. This film, more than any other Dracula sequel, bears the mood of Stoker's original novel as no other has. It is a frightfully visual tale of terror that spins a web of disquiet around the viewer, pulling him and her ever deeper into the hellish domain of Count Dracula. Now, I'm not saying that the plots of Taste the Blood of Dracula and the original book by Bram Stoker are similar, because they're not, except in the fact that Dracula is finally brought to the London scene. Rather, Sasdy provokes the mood of the original novel more than any other director who has worked on the series has. Here, Dracula is a catalyst, invading the Victorian family, tearing away its false front of absurd fastidiousness and revealing the corruption in the form of the three fathers that lurks beneath. The children regard the evil Count in a new father figure, one that seemingly is both protector and provider, but who ultimately shows his true colors, just as the fathers have done. Taste the Blood of Dracula is a complex film, even if misunderstood by most viewers and practically all critics. It takes a number of viewings to absorb all its content, so don't dismiss it as merely another Dracula film. Rather, examine it next time as a fright film unrelated to any other. Forget Horror of Dracula for an hour and a half and spend the time watching rather than comparing. You'll find it a rewarding experience. Will Randy Palmer's pick be included in Josh and Derek's list? Stay tuned to find out. That is all for this week's look at Famous Monsters of Filmland. We will have more next time. For MKR, this is Kenny saying adios.
Shield your eyes, for on the day you look upon them, you will surely die. House of the Gorgon.
Why don't you let us alone? Get back on your train and leave us alone!
Rumors circling around, mysterious happenings at night. Strange noises emanating from the dark.
Leave Karlstadt. Leave now and never come back. Stay away from them. They mean you great harm. Starring Caroline Munro as the Baroness. What was the sinister secret she hid beneath her dark spectacles? Martine Beswick as her sister Uriel, malevolent and evil.
You would sacrifice all that we've done merely to quench your innate desire for violence.
What if I did?
Veronica Carlson as Anna, the one woman in the village of Karlstadt willing to stand against these angels of death.
I can fight you. We can fight you.
Christopher Neame as Llewellyn, a man of faith, locked in mortal combat with overwhelming evil.
If we leave them alone, maybe they'll leave us alone.
Also starring Joshua Kennedy as the mysterious Dr. Pritchard. And introducing Georgina Dugdale, Gooey Films' latest star discovery, the Gorgon's most beautiful victim. See all of this and more when you visit the House of the Gorgon.
Cast you out! Every unclean spirit, every satanic power, in the name and by the power of our Lord Jesus Christ!
It has been said that every legend and myth known to mankind is not entirely without some truth. It was here, under a full moon, in the little village of Van Dorf, that an ancient legend suddenly terrifyingly came to life.
Doctor, you'll perform an autopsy.
On a body that's turned to stone?
For 2,000 years, Megara the Gorgon had kept her evil peace. But now this strange, unearthly creature returns to petrify every human being who crosses her path. Starring Peter Cushing as the Doctor. Did his strange talents direct him to medicine or murder? Christopher Lee as the Professor, confronted by a conspiracy of silence that paralyzed a village with terror.
Akira died 2,000 years ago. It's her spirit we're concerned with today. It's found a resting place in somebody.
With a terrifying realism, she comes to life and brings death to all those who look upon her face.
Carla! I am waiting for Carla, Mr. Hines.
I had a clever intro. It's gone. It's Josh Kennedy from Gooey Films. How you doing, man?
I am doing great, sir. Thank you for having me.
We were chatting for a few minutes before I hit record, and I think all my wittiness is gone now. I had a cool intro, but yeah. Well, you're making it cool. Just having you here is cool.
Oh, thank you. It's always a blast to be on here.
It's Josh Kennedy, the man behind Gooey Films, the man behind, what is it, 16 movies now? 18, 24?
Something. I don't think it's 20, but we're getting close to 20.
House of the Gorgon, The Fungus Among Us, The Vesuvius Experiment, and just so many other movies. And I'll probably try to play as many trailers as I can in this episode of his movies. Plus, we're going to be showing House of the Gorgon during Halloween week over in the stream, so you don't want to miss that. If you haven't seen it yet, you got to check it out. And right now, are you in production on one and post-production on another?
I'm in kind of production on 3, actually.
Of course.
I mean, it's post on Cowgirls versus Pterodactyls, but we're still doing some insert shots. So I guess that's production. I don't know what the actual term.
You went to film school, buddy. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right? I should know this. So yeah, it's post. Yeah, you're right. Post production on Cowgirls versus Pterodactyls, and then production on Mantipus. And Mantipus is crazy because I'm shooting on 16 millimeter film.
Gooey 16 is this the process?
Yes,
I can't wait to see it.
Super Gooey 16.
Yeah, is this the first time you've shot on film?
I've shot on film, but it was a short for class.
Okay.
With in school with actual class equipment, but this time it's my own camera, it's my own equipment, and an actual feature. So we'll see how that goes. It's been an adventure, let's say, the past few months, getting used to the 16 millimeter camera and working in the dark room. And have you ever worked with film?
I was just razzing you about going to film school. When I was in film school for a couple of years, we did Super 8. That's as far as we got.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And we didn't do any, you said darkroom. We didn't do anything like that. We just shot our film, sent it off to get it processed and got it back. So I couldn't even tell you what that process is like. And then we edited on film as well. Although I cheated a little bit because I knew how to work the video editing software and or the machines, and I knew they were getting dumped down to video for projection anyway for the class to watch.
Yeah.
So I kind of did an edit on film and then dumped it all to video and edited on video and turned that in instead. I think the statute of limitations on cheating on something like that is probably over at this point.
I hope so.
Are you editing on film or are you editing digitally for that?
No, the cool thing is I'm cheating too. I send it off to New Bedford, Massachusetts, and they send back the full roll as a digital file, just a raw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I go in and, I mean, geez, I can't even imagine editing on film. That's a whole other thing.
When I was in film school, I was the head projectionist for the student-run movie theater, and just splicing, the 35 millimeter films together for projection could be nightmare-inducing. I can't imagine doing that for editing film.
Exactly. Yeah. A whole new respect for old, low-budget filmmakers. I mean,
it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, that they're doing this on no budget and they're out in the wilderness and on the beaches filming these monster movies, and it's like, we got no money, we got to load the camera. It just boggles my mind.
It's nuts. So I can't wait to see what you're doing there. So that's 2.
And then 3 is Saturnalia, which is a science fiction comedy adventure, which is not on the back burner right now, but just paused because some of my actors, with the whole pandemic and everything, we've just decided to slow down and wait because there's a lot of group stuff for Saturnalia. So we're just waiting, one, for Cowgirls to be done, and I can just focus all my energies on that. But yeah, so it's 3 at the same time. It's quite... I like it in a way. It keeps me occupied.
I need to learn your secret, man. I really need to learn your secret because, I don't know when you sleep, how you sleep, if you sleep. I guess I need to learn the secret.
I never sleep. I hate those little slices of death.
I didn't mean to set you up for that, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I know. Home run right there.
Viewers, if you watch House of the Gorgon or any of the GUI films that I show on the stream, I tend to show the 10-year anniversary sizzle reel that Josh has created that you can find on his YouTube channel. And there's a clip at the very end that I believe is from Saturnalia. Is that right?
Yes. It's the one little teaser that I have. I met Danny Thompson, who's a fantastic British actress. She's a British scream queen. She does like the equivalent of what we have, the Sci-Fi Channel low-budget movies that we have. She's like the British equivalent of that. She's in all these British, really low-budget films. And I met her at the House of the Gorgon premiere in London, of all places. And she said, if you ever need a scream queen, if you ever need an actress, I will fly down to Texas to be in it. And that's how we became friends. And she's playing Saturnalia in Saturnalia. And I just added that, to come back to what you said, added that little teaser at the end of the sizzle reel. So I'm glad you caught that. A lot of people didn't even notice.
Oh, yeah. Every time that plays and Reber's in the chat room with me, we're like, yeah, that's from Saturnalia. So we know Reber Clark, the man who's been composing a lot of work for Josh lately, who's amazing, by the way. I've interacted a few times with Danny online on Facebook, but
she's really cool. She's a complete doll. She's wonderful and a terrific actress. She's so much fun to be around.
She seems neat, and I really am. She seems neat. What the hell is that? Wow. No, she seems cool. And I'm eager to see these movies, man. And I know Pterodactyls is the next on the docket. I'm eager to get to work on that sound effects wise and see what I can do to turn your gold into, I don't know, shinier gold.
Yes. Polish it up. My bronze into gold.
I wouldn't go that far. That's awesome. And I know with the pandemic kind of slowing things down, I'm sure you've got other ideas percolating in your head.
Oh, yes.
Things to do when things kind of get back to normal, I hope.
Yes, please. I would hope so. Yeah. It's a weird year, man. Mm-hmm. I think everyone agrees. Weird year.
It is. And, where you're at, you're down in Texas where things are kind of crazy. And it's just, man, I'm glad that you're safe and healthy and everything and that you still have things going movie-wise for us all. But most importantly, I'm glad that you kind of shut down the production to kind of make sure everybody stays safe. And that's just responsible, and I appreciate that and respect that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Because of what's going on, Halloween's been kind of a bummer.
Kinda. We've talked about it before we started recording, how TCM kind of came in and saved the day with Peter Cushing. Not that, we haven't seen those movies that they're showing, but it's always nice to know that Cushing movies are being played somewhere and people are watching them. And Peter Cushing is TCM's Star of the Month for October. So that's comforting.
Yeah, it's been really neat to see them kind of pull out some movies that don't normally get talked about or don't get associated with Cushing in our circles,
yes.
Which has been nice. I haven't watched any of them. They're all on my DVR right now, but I understand there have been some dramatic romances and such.
Yeah. And I'm just happy. I've always been an advocate for Cash on Demand, the bank robbery.
Oh, yeah,
one
that's a great
him.
film. It's a Hammer film.
Yeah.
Of course it's good.
Yes, it's the Hammer Christmas movie that no one remembers. And they showed that, I think, like week one. I was like, okay, TCM, you get a pass. You get a thumbs up from me. But there's one really cool moment where he's this nerdy banker, and then there's just one moment where he just turns to Andre Morel and he goes, "If my family is hurt, I'll kill you." And it's just a little flash of complete darkness where it could go into that maniac, him getting revenge. And there's just a little taste of it, and then it goes. But that's such a great performance. One of my favorite performances of his.
It's really good. It's very it's something that I could have seen translated to the stage just as a movie itself. It's all kind of set in that one location. And it's Donald Pleasance as the other character, right?
No, it's Andre Morel.
I'm sorry, you said Andre Morel. Why do I have Donald Pleasance on the brain?
It's Halloween, man. It's Donald Pleasance is on the...
That's it. Yeah, no, it's Andre Morel. We did talk about that back in the day on our Hammer Films podcast, me and Scott and Casey. And we made it our Christmas movie. It's the only time they did a Christmas movie, really. So got to do
True.
it.
Yeah.
But that's getting ahead of things, man. It's Halloween. Christmas can wait.
Exactly.
You hear that? Target and Lowe's and Walmart. Christmas can wait.
Yeah, Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, right? What are you doing to keep Halloween alive down where you're at?
Well, I'm sure you can agree to this. Halloween is all year for me. But I've been, for Monster Kids, Halloween is all year. But every October, try and not so much go out of my comfort zone, but look at movies that I haven't had a chance to watch, like the gaps in my repertoire. I had seen them as a kid, but the Addams Family, the 90s films, the Addams Family, the Addams Family Values, I'd seen them as a kid, and I've been giving them a rewatch, and they're really good. And so that's what I try and do. I try and watch movies that I'm not too familiar with that are horror themed. I know a few years ago, I went through the entire John Carpenter filmography.
Oh, wow.
And that was a heck of a month. But yeah, it's Addams Family, and been giving of all things, the Scooby-Doo feature movies. It's Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island and Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Oh, so the animated ones.
Yes. Have you seen those? Have you?
I have not. My Scooby-Doo consumption is woefully low.
Yeah, mine too.
I love the original series, the cartoons, but when it comes to the movies, I know nothing.
Yeah, those are the only two that I know, but they're perfect Halloween viewing because they're almost gothic in a way. They have a lot of full moons and the leaves blowing. They really capture that October. So it's the Addams Family and Scooby-Doo that I've been doing just to keep Halloween alive here. What about you? You doing anything?
Well, we were talking before we recorded, and I mentioned this on the stream last weekend that I haven't watched any movies just for me. They've all been quote unquote for work, putting the stream together or doing something for the show. But several weeks ago, Dominique just announced that we are going to a haunted house, but not a traditional haunted house setup because they're all shut down. So this was a drive-through experience. So we got in a car and drove through a fairgrounds, and there were 4 local haunted houses that had come together and set up displays that you can see from the car. And it was really cool because it wasn't an attraction that you walk through and you get all the jump scares and all that. You could actually drive as slow as you want, within reason. We probably upset the people behind us because we took our time, but we could drive as slow as you want and actually enjoy and look at all the spooky, creepy stuff that people spend all year working on, instead of having it kind of in the dark and shadows and some kid in a clown mask yelling at you.
Yeah.
And about half of it was pretty neat. Half of it was a little silly. I don't really go for the haunted redneck stuff that they had set up in part of the fairgrounds. But listeners and Josh, I'd recommend looking up the Davis Graveyard. It is a home that does a haunt every year. Now they've shut down for the year because of the pandemic, but normally they open up their front yard for people to come and look at this display that is just amazing. It's made TV, national TV. It's just phenomenal. And they had the first part of the drive-thru was set up, and it was just so cool to see. They had some horror podcast, not me. I wish it was me. I would have happy to be involved, but nobody contacted me, darn it. Some horror podcaster was doing something on the local radio that you could listen to as you were going through, and it was just really fun. And finally got a little bit of that Halloween flavor, and just a little bit. And I think we're doing it again for another place, this time with Chris McMillan as well.
Oh, cool.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm basically just waiting for Dominique to tell me when we're doing it again.
Yeah.
She's in charge, I guess. That's what I'm doing, and then I am going to set aside some time to watch The Innocents, which I've been told I need to see. It's a lot of people's favorite movies. It's one of those movies I've never seen. So
sweet. I've never seen it either, so I need to add that. Maybe that could be another October ad for me.
Well, it's a ghost movie, and ghost movies are probably the ones that get to me the most.
Really?
I see so many monster movies. Zombie movies don't do anything. Because of my zombie background, but and I love me a good vampire movie and a Frankenstein. I love my mummy movies, but in terms of giving me a scare that lingers with me, it's ghosts. Ghosts do it, and I don't know why that is. It's not really a religious thing. It always has been a thing.
Creeps you out,
and specifically when there's a mirror scene. If there's when there's a character looking in a mirror and there's nothing behind that character, but in the mirror there's a ghost behind him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude. No. I mean, even that part of the Haunted Mansion ride in Disney where the Doom Buggies turn and look at the mirrors and there's a ghost sitting between you and the person in the Doom Buggy with you. That just gets me, man.
Ooh,
Don't know why it is. It just does.
Ooh, yeah. Or I mean, how cliche is it that someone is at the sink and opens the medicine cabinet and the mirror turns back. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. It can be the dumbest, lowest budget, cheapest.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the name of the movie, but it was like a knockoff of a Blair Witch Project kind of thing that I watched, and it had that in there. And the movie is not memorable for any other reason to me, but that there was a scare like that, and it just stuck with me for days, man.
Wow, huh?
So I'm going to watch The Innocents, and if I quit podcasting after that, it's because the movie was too much.
Yeah.
The ghost got me.
Yeah.
You just got done telling me that you try to find things that are kind of off the beaten path, but considering what we're talking about today, it's kind of the other way around.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so the topic, for people who haven't seen the show notes, I'm sure I put it in the title and the cover art as well. We're going to talk about some Hammer films, because Josh is our Hammer guy, doing a commentary track for an upcoming Hammer release, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, which is so cool, and I'm so jealous. Oh, man, I am so jealous. So cool that you got that, dude. I'm so excited for you.
My buddy Dan made a joke. He's like, your entire life has been leading to this. I was like, I know. It's
right?
That movie, it's like the cornerstone, like the foundation of, if my life was a building, like the Gorgon is like the cornerstone, the foundation cornerstone. Oh, man. Yeah. So how awesome is it just to geek out and just spend the entire movie talking about it? And hopefully an audience, it's the ultimate Hammer collection, or like the Great Hammer collection. There's a title for it, the Ultimate Hammer Blu-ray Collection, but there's like 20 films on it, which boggles my mind. And that's mid-November, I think. Mill Creek is releasing it, and the Gorgon is on there, and it's an audio commentary with yours truly.
So cool. Have you recorded it yet?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
oh yes.
It's already done. Right on. So cool, man. I was considering maybe I'll pass on that set, but then you have to go and do a commentary track on it.
I know. Well, the thing is, I mean, with all the Hammer, I mean, it's the same with the Universal films. I mean, this is a whole other topic. I mean, every release, when it's like a new special feature, it's like, how many times have I bought this? I've owned it on, VHS. I've owned it on DVD. I've owned it on 2-disc DVD, and then I'll buy it on Blu-ray. Oh, and I need to get the special edition. They sure know how to get us.
It's like they're following the Sam Raimi Army of Darkness model.
Yeah,
where they just re-release that movie with like an extra 5 minutes or the alternate ending, but it's always its own separate thing. It's never all together in one. It was like that nonstop through the early 2000s. And I worked in the video store, so I know how many times you get the Boomstick edition, the Ultimate edition, the Book of the Dead edition. Yeah, no. And now they're getting us, man. But they know. See, the thing, they know.
Yeah, we're too gullible to say no. It's like, I'll buy it again.
Sure. Oh, is a new transfer? Yeah. Okay, yeah, the greens looked greener. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And I suspect we'll probably talk about the Gorgon a little bit more here, because the topic we're talking about today is a top 3 Hammer films to watch during Halloween. Not top 3 Hammer films, because my list would be very different than what I've prepared for myself. But there are some Hammer films that just scream Halloween. I don't think they ever did a Halloween specific type movie. Did they? Nothing really took place around Halloween for them, did that?
No, I mean, they do the typical like autumn with the leaves falling and then the leaves blowing, but nothing that's,
specific to the holiday.
Yeah.
Well, and over in the UK, was it as big a deal as it is over here?
Surprisingly not. I mean, I talked to Mrs. Kennedy. She's fascinated with how big Halloween is here. She said it's not the same over there. I'm sure, I mean, it's different for different families, but for her, it wasn't a big thing.
But we can still make them work. I mean, we can definitely, feel the Halloween vibe coming off these things.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
And I had a hard time putting my list together, limiting it to 3. So I might have an honorable mention or 2.
Yeah, good, because I do have an honorable mention.
Awesome. All right, so this is how the top 3 episodes work. We haven't done one in a while. We're just going to go back and forth, kind of ping-ponging back and forth. I'm going to give my number 3, Josh will give his, and then back and forth until we get to number 1. And the reason I start is because I want to end with the guest and end with Josh and let him go out on hopefully on a high note. So we're going to dive into all of that. But first, Josh, I can't let you go. We haven't spoken in a long time, just you and me. We got to do a round of the Classic 5.
Yes. I was waiting, even if we finished the conversation, I was like, can we do one of the Classic 5?
Of course, man, of course.
The Classic 5!
The Classic 5, for those who are just now joining us or don't know, the game that we play here on the show, hopefully with every guest when I remember, it's called the Classic 5. I've got a deck of cards here, and we're going to drive 5 cards. Each one of these cards has a this or that, which movie do you prefer style question on them. There are no wrong answers. It's just a way to get Monster Kids talking, learn a little bit more about our fellow Monster Kids, and the love of our life, the monster movies. Josh, are you ready to play?
I am so ready.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions that I asked the stream recently, because I'm going to be putting these into the next core deck release that'll be coming out next year, and we were just talking about it. What's your favorite classic ghost movie?
Favorite classic ghost movie? I'm immediately thinking of 13 Ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
But,
yeah.
I mean, that's just classic golden, but I'm sure I'm missing one. I'm not a huge fan of The Haunting. Are you?
It's okay. It's not one of my favorites, but it's all right.
Yeah. And in typical Monster Kid radio fashion, I'll say something and then, 2 hours later, I'll be like, oh, I should have said that one. But I think I'm going to go with 13 Ghosts. Let's do 13 Ghosts.
Do you believe in ghosts? I do. And you will too. When you come to this theater and see my picture, 13 Ghosts. When you see 13 Ghosts, you'll be given a supernatural viewer like this, which will enable you to penetrate for the first time into the spirit world. It will let you see all 13 of our weird, wonderful, and wildly assorted ghosts.
Now, brace yourself as we take you across the threshold of our haunted mansion, where there's a ghost for everyone in the family. Father, mother, sister, brother. You'll be scared stiff too when you see what they see. 13 ghosts materializing in ectoplasmic color through the magic of Illusiono.
As an addendum to what I said earlier about ghost movies always kind of wigging me out, when they're played for, I don't know, laughs, I suppose, when they're lighthearted like 13 Ghosts, they don't get me nearly as much. I mean, I still enjoy them, but in terms of scaring me, The Uninvited.
Yes.
That would be what I would go with if I was playing here.
This is the voice of the uninvited.
It's coming from downstairs.
Comes from everywhere and nowhere.
A house of terror on the haunted cliffs of Cornwall, where the uninvited walk unseen by men. Yet a cat arches its back in fright. Flowers are withered by the touch of an unseen, malignant hand. Candles flicker and die as a ghostly chill fills the air, and the living are clutched by the icy horror of the restless dead.
And I had a chance to see that on the big screen with Dominique and Chris a couple years back. Cool. And first time seeing it, and it was amazing.
Nice. Yeah. I'm going to stick with 13 Ghosts for me.
All right. And then the other question I asked to stream, what is your favorite classic witch movie?
Oh, I'm a huge fan. I know it's not a classic film yet. The Witch, which just came out.
Oh, okay.
Which kids just came out. I mean, like it was five years ago. Yeah.
It's the one with double V's instead of a W.
Yeah. But classic Witch? That's good. I'm thinking Hocus Pocus is like my go-to, but I don't know how.
Hey, you know what? That counts, man. That movie's
Does it
what?
count?
I mean,
Okay.
It's classic to somebody.
I think it's 93. I mean, I grew up with it, so
sure.
Yeah, I'll say, and I know I'm missing one, but I'm going to go with Hocus Pocus.
All right, fair enough.
Jump back, twist the bones, and bend the back. Here to decapit a Malik mystic.
Back in 1693, the people of Salem, Massachusetts,
Witches? Yes?
thought they got rid of the Sanderson sisters for good.
We shall be back.
300 years later, it's Halloween Eve, and they're back.
Uh-oh. We're home.
Are you broads a little old to be trick-or-treating?
We're talking about 3 ancient hags versus the 20th century. How bad can it be?
And to be fair, it's a very old-fashioned type movie. Yeah.
It is.
And it's very fun. Monster kids will enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. And I suspect most people listening have already seen it. It's a fun little movie, man. I saw it in the theater, and I saw it a few times when it was out on video. I was working at a video store when it came out, so we got to see it a lot in the store. I played it a lot because, it's spooky, but it's not threatening. So, yeah, it's a fun little movie.
Has a great October Halloween atmosphere, too.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Hocus Pocus.
Right on, man.
What about you? What do you got?
Oh, Weird Woman's on my mind a lot. Just I love Weird Woman. But Night of the Demon, or Burn Witch Burn, is also a particular favorite. And I'll probably be talking with Kevin Slick about that here in the near future on the show. So stay tuned for that. But then I also have to go to things like Horror Hotel or City of the Dead. Christopher Lee, man, come on.
Yeah, that's very true.
Gotta have that. So, all right, cool. Okay, well, card number 3 from the Hammer deck.
Yes.
And we may have already done this once before, but I'm going to ask it again because it's been a while. Best dressed character in a Hammer film.
Oh. No, we haven't done this.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Best dressed. Wow. Well, I mean, I don't think there's someone who's not well dressed. and their costumes are always just...
Oh, they're spot on. They're brilliant.
Yeah. I'm going to say, and my buddy Dan Day is going to be smiling and laughing, I'm going to say Jennifer Daniel in that red dress in Kiss of the Vampire.
Oh, okay.
That's such a stunning look. She comes out of we're in the other room and she comes out and it's like, wow, yeah. There's so many others. That's the one that's on my mind right now. What do you got? You got one?
In terms of like favorite costume, I'd probably go with the Mummy from,
Oh, yeah.
I just have to start giggling. You know what I'm talking about. But in terms of like actual, best dressed, I love Cushing's wardrobe in Dracula AD 72.
Yes.
Just something about 1970s Cushing that's just cool.
And he has that little satchel with yeah. He's holding his arm because his arm has been stabbed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there's just something about that image of him walking. It's so good. It gets me. Yeah.
His hair's or his hairpiece. Yeah. Oh,
brilliant stuff, man. Brilliant stuff.
Yep.
Definitely not going to say the fur vested biker gang in Satanic Rites, but I think you're right. Most people in the Hammer films are pretty well dressed.
I can't believe I forgot this. I mean, the fur bikini on Martine Beswick in Prehistoric Women. How could I have forgotten that?
Well, it was a given, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it was common sense. So I had to, be a little, creative.
All right, card 4. What classic monster would you want to see in a movie set in outer space?
Oh, man. That's a good one. These are always good. Classic monster in outer space. Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, yeah?
I just tried to think of the randomest.
Well, I mean, the original novel's in the public domain. Somebody could go and write it and do it.
Don't give me that power. I mean, I'm going to stick with that. Have we had a Wolfman in outer space?
You know,
that might be.
That's my go-to. Is I would love to see a Wolfman or a werewolf movie set in outer space. It'd be so cool.
Yeah, or like it's on the moon, so he turns on the. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to stick with Phantom because that's just so outlandish. That's so crazy.
That is that trumps everything. I can't think of anything else that would beat that. Phantom in space.
In space. Yeah, I'd watch it.
Yeah. I can't even imagine how that would. I can't even.
I know. Now, great. You ruined my night because now I'm going to be focusing on that.
Well, that's the thing. That's the bad. Talking with fellow creatives, these things come up, and now I have a novel I should be working on. No, Phantom of the Opera in space.
Exactly.
Oh, man. All right. Well, in the final card here, what classic monster movie should be turned into a musical?
Octoman.
Octoman? Really?
I mean, there's a whole backstory to this. When I was in middle school, I made the joke. I mean, that was always my go-to. When people would ask what I was working on, it was Octoman the musical, and it was a joke. And I actually made a poster for it and gave it to my theater teacher, and he still has it above his desk in his office at school. It says, Octoman the musical coming soon. So that's the big joke. It's like, I'm writing Octoman the musical. So I'll say that.
That's awesome.
What about you?
I kind of want to see that. The poster, not necessarily the musical.
Yeah, right.
No, I'd watch it. Whatever.
Of course you would.
Seriously, I think it wouldn't take too much of a nudge to turn Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman into a musical, since it's got the song number in the middle anyway.
That's true.
Just a little bit of a nudge to go that route. So yeah, I'll go with that right now.
Cool. I could see it.
I don't know if it'd play on a double feature with Octoman the musical, but
yeah. We'd still watch it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was the Classic 5, man. I wasn't even going to let you get away without it.
Yes, I'm glad.
All right. So we're nice and warmed up. Let's go ahead and tackle our top 3. As I said earlier, our top 3 Hammer films to watch at Halloween. And oh boy, I have got a list a mile long of favorite Hammer movies anyway. So trying to come up with one has been very difficult for me.
I feel you, man.
You know what? I'm just going to put it out there. Horror of Dracula would be my number 3, the very first Dracula film.
Yeah.
Horror of Dracula. Dracula, the most terrifying lover the world has ever known. Who will be his bride tonight? Horror of Dracula. Dracula, dead and yet alive for 600 years. Dracula, the human vampire who lusts for human blood. See Horror of Dracula. The greatest shock story of them all now achieves new heights of motion picture suspense. See Horror of Dracula and watch the fiend who rises each night from his coffin bed to seek the rendezvous that alone can keep him alive. See Horror of Dracula and watch those who came to destroy a monster stay to become his victim. See Horror of Dracula, but don't dare see it alone. The chill of the tomb won't leave your blood for hours. Horror of Dracula, all new and in flaming Technicolor.
Which I know to say it's not number 1 in anything is hard to say, but yeah, for me it's Horror of Dracula. Terrence Fisher, Christopher Lee, Cushing. Just it's a great film.
It is. And I hate to say that it's a, to use the term, perfect movie, but everything works in that movie. Even Michael Gough, who people love to give him crap for, I think he's terrific in it.
Who does? I've never heard.
It's a big thing on some of the Hammer groups that I'm a part of, and people love to bash him, and I can kind of understand where they're coming from. They think he's too wooden. I mean, anyone next to Peter Cushing is going to look wooden, but
yeah.
But I think that's his character. He's anguished. He's withdrawn. His entire family is being attacked by this unknown force. He doesn't know what to do. He's helpless, and he needs to turn to Cushing for help. And it's funny we're talking about these 3. I'm probably not going to argue about any of your choices.
Yeah, I don't think we'll. Yeah,
there's so many movies that are not going to be on these 3, obviously, that are just like, yeah, you're right. That's a perfect Halloween movie. So good. So the music, the sets, everything.
I know Frankenstein was first, but it really set the standard for them, and I mean, it's just one of the best. I mean, he's probably on screen the least of most of the Dracula films anyway, but Christopher Lee's presence in that is just so overpowered. Iconic. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Yeah, I mean, you're enthralled by the guy.
The script is just so economical, and it just takes the giant, sprawling 300-page book and just boils it down to just this tiny little movie. It just works so well.
I think it's probably the best example of doing a Dracula adaptation when it comes to not staying so close to the novel.
Yeah.
Because whenever you do a Dracula movie, you either do it like Coppola did, or you go completely off book. And this one goes off book, but they did it so well.
Yes, and it feels right. Everything works. Everything feels, in comparison to some of the later Hammer Draculas, where you're like, raising your hand in the back of the class. Pause real quick.
You're not talking about Scars of Dracula, are you? I mean, come on, that one's a
dude. That's better than Horror of Dracula. Let's be honest. That actually hurt saying that.
Yeah, I was everything's still recording. Anything just shut down automatically. No, we're not doing this anymore. Okay. What's your number 3, man?
My number 3 is, and I already mentioned it, Kiss of the Vampire.
Yeah?
I tried with these to go just a little bit off the Gorgon, obviously. I just automatically took off the list because that's just perfect. I'm trying to find some that maybe some fans aren't too familiar with. Kiss of the Vampire has everything except Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. And it's not a detraction at all, because Edward D'Souza and Jennifer Daniel and Noel Willman, it's just Isabel Black. Oh my God. It has my favorite opening to any Hammer film ever, with a funeral and the shovel. I'm not sure if I should give it too much away, but it has just such a killer opening, and it has the costumes, the feel, and the falling leaves. It's not even a Terrence Fisher film. It's, I should know this.
Don Sharp.
Sharp? Yeah, I think so. Yes. And it has Jennifer Daniel in that red dress, which is just stunning. She's fantastic.
Well, when you mentioned that earlier, I didn't want to play my hand too soon, but this is my number 2, so I'm just going to join in on your praise of this movie. Yeah, I love Kiss of the Vampire so much.
Listen. This is the eerie, ghastly, sinister sound of giant vampire bats in flight, summoned from the caves of perpetual night to destroy, to kill, to avenge.
Universal presents a tale of the supernatural, Kiss of the Vampire.
You know what a vampire is? Yes. I've heard of vampire bats. No, not bats. Human vampires. Beings who exist on the blood of other humans.
Kiss of the Vampire. The spine-chilling drama of two young lovers trapped in a twilight world of terror, a world of unspeakable horror.
You've hypnotized her. She's in a trance. Look at me, Marianne. For God's sake, look at me.
Learn the macabre secrets of a living dead.
Gasp at the screen's most terrifying climax. Kiss of the Vampire in color.
And like I said, the only thing it's missing is Lee and Cushing, but is it really missing it?
People love to say that. I disagree. I mean, who would they play? I think it works perfectly. Well, Lee could have definitely been Ravna, but I think everyone is so well cast in that.
Mm-hmm.
Very underrated. It should get more respect. And the music, James Bernard's music with that piano score. Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant stuff, man.
Yes.
I've always been a fan of like the Monster Hunter genre, I suppose you could call it, or subgenre, the trope. And this has got that, but it's not Van Helsing. Now, I love Van Helsing, but it's nice to see another guy kind of getting there and doing his thing. And I mean, using magic to stop the monster at the end. And it works. It's so cool.
Yes. Yeah. Completely unique ending too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what a cool idea. It's very creative, and and Peter Madden as the landlord, he always shows up as little character roles. He's so good at that as the landlord. But yeah, Kiss the Vampire. So that was your number 2 as well?
Yeah, that would have been my number 2. So
okay.
Yeah, I got to throw it back to you again.
Yeah. So this one is very offbeat, but I tend to watch it every October. I want to say it's winter in the film, but it's X the Unknown.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
He runs as though the devil himself is in pursuit. And well he might, for he saw what no man has ever seen before.
It's on its way. The man on the main gate had it just like the others. It's coming in on the west side. Look! There it is, on the roof!
three experts in science and security lead a band of men who try to find a way to exterminate X, the unknown terror. Only to find a tunnel of fear from which there is no escape.
I saw it first on like a Halloween marathon many years ago, and it just became not a tradition, kind of, where it just feels like, oh, I need to watch X the Unknown again. And it's, for those that don't know, it is a radioactive mass blob. They made it 1958, very early on, 57, 58. And it's this radioactive mass blob that cracks out of the earth, and it goes and eats people. It survives on energy, so it goes out and rampages the countryside. But it has another economic script by Jimmy Sangster. It's just so quick, and it's my go-to October viewing. Very, very offbeat, and like I said, I tried to find things that some people haven't watched. Have you seen X the Unknown?
Yeah. We talked about that on Downplace, 1951 Downplace back in the day, and it was the Hammer film that Hammer did when they weren't too cozy with the Quatermass guy.
Yes.
Things weren't going too well with him because he didn't agree with how they were portraying Quatermass, so they tried to create their own thing. And I do like the movie. And I'm not saying it's wrong for someone to enjoy it and watch it for Halloween. When I think about Halloween and horror movies and things like that, when it comes to this season, I tend to veer away from the more science and sci-fi based and more to the spooky kind of stuff, you know? And X the Unknown doesn't really fall into that camp for me, but it does have a lot of the imagery that does. I mean, stuff with the kid.
Yes, and the burns and the freaking it's the nurse and the doctor, and they're making out in the corner, and he melts because the thing comes in. Oh yeah, it's some really creepy stuff.
There really is. Yeah.
To be fair, like I said, I saw it on a Halloween marathon, so I just that's me personally associate it with this month. It was like, ooh, I need to watch that again at night.
Now, was this was released between the two Quatermass films? Or was it after the first? Okay.
I think it was directly after the first Quatermass.
Okay. Yeah, it was released here in the States in 57. And yeah, like you said, Sangster, the screenwriter on that. Dean Jagger as the lead, as our Quatermass villain, who does, a lot of people don't like him. Like you were saying about Michael Gough earlier with Horror of Dracula. I don't think Jagger does a bad job here. I mean, he's not Don Levy, but, he's great. He's good for what he is. And I liked that character. I bought him as scientist, as hero.
Yes, I love, if I ever shave my head, I'm immediately going to buy that beanie that he wears, or that little hat that he wears is awesome.
Is that a dig at me since I shaved my head recently? Is that what that is?
I'm sending you one in the mail.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Well, my birthday's coming up, so so that's your number 2, huh? Okay.
So that's my number 2. I know it's not your typical Halloween, but for those who haven't seen it, I say give it a try. It's a good creature feature.
I agree.
And if you're looking for a Hammer film that you're not too familiar with, I recommend that one.
There you go. So before we get into our number 1, so let's knock out some honorable mentions here real quick. For me, I have to put Plague of the Zombies in there for an honorable mention.
That was my honorable mention.
This is a movie that informed my opinion of zombie movies for a long time, even above what Romero was doing. As much as I love Romero, don't get me wrong, but I've always liked my zombies with a little bit of supernatural added to them.
Yes.
And this one does it. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm pretty convinced that if Romero hadn't done Night of the Living Dead, Hammer would have done more zombie movies.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it.
It's an iconic monster, and they really made it their own.
I would go so far as to say Plague of the Zombies is my favorite zombie movie.
Oh, wow.
Again, we could do this with so many of the Hammer films. Everything works. Andre Morell coming in as our professor, Jacqueline Pierce as the zombie girl.
And John Carson is the villain.
John Carson, yes.
So good.
Yes.
Oh, Squire Hamilton is such a great villain. Such a great villain. And even the way the music is used, it's James Bernard.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How is this happening with James Bernard keep coming up? That should tell you something. And even he's got Michael Ripper. So you got, the familiar Hammer flavoring to it. It's a great film. And the zombies look so cool. And that mask that Carson wears.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate you saying you're going to send me a beanie, but I'd rather one of those masks.
Yeah, I'll switch it.
So I would put Plague of the Zombies up there. I'd also put Satanic Rites of Dracula in my honorable mentions, just because I love that movie.
Okay.
And really, almost any of the other Dracula films I'd put in there as an honorable mention as well.
That was my other. It was my two honorable mentions. It was Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. I mean, if you want clean, I mean, we have Horror of Dracula, obviously, but you want clean, good Halloween film to have on, Dracula Has Risen from the Grave.
Yes.
I mean, Brides of Dracula. I mean, how can we even narrow it down? Brides of Dracula 2, Prince of Darkness, all of them.
Yeah, and pretty much every Dracula movie is going to be in my honorable mention, except for Horror of Dracula, and then my number one pick, which is another Dracula flick, which I guess I can dive into right now.
Do it.
I like Prince of Darkness a lot. I like Risen from the Grave one. Taste the Blood of Dracula is my number one.
Really?
I really like Taste the Blood of Dracula. There is something about Dracula almost as hero, kind of avenging, going after these guys who just deserve what's coming to them. This force from the other side, this supernatural entity now kind of crossing over and getting these folks, almost feels a little slasher-like in places, which, I'm not a big slasher film fan anymore, but, I still kind of respond to it a little bit. I really dig this movie, and I don't know why I like it so much, because I don't think technically it's as good as some of the others, but it makes me happy, man. It fills me with joy.
That's all we can ask, right? That's all we can ask.
So, yeah, I mean, the three guys are just terrible.
Yes.
The way Dracula comes back is awesome. It's just,
yeah.
If not for TCM showing a bunch of Peter Cushing and me having a lot of work, I'd even put that in as soon as we're done recording right now, because I'm talking about it so much, I got to watch it again.
And I mean, this good, interesting pick. I wouldn't have put it at the top of my list. I mean, not to demean it in any way, but and again, each Dracula film has its own strengths and everything, and Taste the Blood has its own stuff too. So I'm glad you picked that one. Good choice.
Like I said, I dig it, man.
It doesn't get a lot of love.
It doesn't. And I mean, compared to some of the other ones, it's not. I guess I know it's got some issues,
of course,
but it's like I said, it fills me with joy, man.
Yeah, that's all we want. If it fills you with joy, how can we argue with that?
There we go. All right. Well, now I'm dying to know what your number one is.
Yeah, I had to, the Gorgon, obviously, but I chose another. I kind of cheated. I did the Gorgon because that was obvious.
Mm-hmm.
One, I mean, the Swirling Leaves. For people who haven't seen the Gorgon, what's wrong with you? Turn this off right now and watch it right now. Or wait till mid-November and buy the Blu-ray set and watch it, and then listen to my commentary. Yeah,
there you go.
The atmosphere of that movie is so palpable. I'll put that on just to live in that atmosphere, just to bask in that autumn Halloween, especially at this time of year. That Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Feel, yeah, and the mean villagers, the cemetery, the castle, the wind, the full moon. Oh, it's got, and you got Cushing and Lee. What more do you want?
It's such a great film, and I've kind of been talking about this in some of my non-horror movie areas, like my gaming material and all that. I love the Medusa as a monster.
Yes.
The Medusa in Clash of the Titans terrified me as a kid. Not the movie, but the movie poster. I had nightmares about the movie poster, about the Medusa coming out of the movie poster and chasing me down and turning me to stone.
Cool.
It was really weird. So, I mean, just that monster by itself. But the nice thing about the Gorgon is it's not just the monster. It's got so much mood and atmosphere and the music. Like you said, the full moon. It's so gothic. It's so wonderful.
Yes. So that's my number one. But since that was super, I mean, people who know me listening to this podcast knew that was going to be number one. I picked one more because Gorgon was too obvious. And my other half pick for number one is another offbeat one.
Okay.
To the Devil, a Daughter.
The evil power of black magic has fascinated millions of moviegoers. In 1967, Rosemary's Baby. In 1974, The Exorcist, and now, a motion picture that probes further into the mysteries of the occult that any has dared before.
98% of so-called Satanists are nothing but pathetic freaks who get their kicks out of dancing naked in freezing churchyards. I have a feeling I'm dealing with that other 2%.
Richard Widmark, challenges Christopher Lee for the soul of a girl named Catherine in the terrifying film of Dennis Wheatley's sensational bestseller, To the Devil, a Daughter.
It's really what, and people, again, like to bash it, it's Hammer updating themselves to the modern horror film at that time. It was 79. They're catching up after Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist and The Omen. They're coming into their own. And I think it stands right there with Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby. I mean, it's not the masterpiece, but I think it's just as a film, it's very effective. And there are a few of the special effects and the nudity at the end I can live without, but everything, it doesn't hamper the film as a whole. The atmosphere, the story. You have Richard Widmark in a Hammer film. How can you go wrong? Right. Christopher Lee as probably one of his greatest roles. He's so good in that. Michael Goodliff shows up. It's
Denholm Elliott, man.
Yes, that's who I was. Yes, Denholm Elliott.
You gotta have Marcus. Come on.
Yeah. Marcus Brody.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the nudity thing, so I don't have to bring that up. But otherwise, the Dennis Wheatley adaptation, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, but if you're like in that Rosemary's Baby feel, like there's a whole slew of movies that are like that. This falls right in there with it, and I think it's terrific. And again, the special effects at the end and the nudity can turn off some people, but it's really quick, and I think people can look past that and just see the film as a whole.
Right.
The stuff with the phone and the snake with Christopher Lee, yeah, that's good stuff.
Really? Well, now I kind of want to put that one in instead of Taste the Blood of Dracula.
Yeah, I mean, double feature, man.
I have a lot of work to get done tonight, man. Come on.
Yeah.
And TCM, they keep teasing me to come. Yeah.
Honor Blackman. It's funny. Honor Blackman, and I don't know what the other gentleman's name is, but you ready for this? So Honor Blackman, and it's Anthony Valentine. They're a couple in the film, and my mom's name is Anna, and my dad's name is David. And Honor Blackman is wife to David Kennedy. The character is David Kennedy in the film, and her name is Anna. So it's Anna and David Kennedy as the two the couples, and those are my parents' names.
Wow. So your love affair with Hammer films did not start with the Gorgon.
Clearly.
It started years before you were even born, it seems like. It was just meant to be.
I watched To the Devil's Daughter for the first time many years ago with my mom, who's a huge Hammer fan, and we both looked at each other in complete shock. No way! Even in the movie, they're like, I'd like to introduce Anna and David Kennedy. It was like, what? Mind-boggling.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
Wow. I have nothing else to top that. I think that's awesome. That's awesome. And it's a great film, and this was a great top 3. Like I said, I haven't done one in a while, so
yeah, me too. Thank you.
Really appreciate you taking the time to do this. We have been chatting for a little while, and I know in about 20 minutes or so, TCM is going to start hitting you with the cush. So
yes.
I don't want to keep you too much longer, but Josh, I just want to thank you for all of your support of Monster Kid Radio over the years, both as a podcast and then personally as well as one of my dear friends. I really appreciate everything you've done for me, and man, I can't wait to see what you do next. Even if I wasn't working on them, I would still support the hell out of them because I love what you do, man.
Well, thank you, man. I love what you do, and thanks for your support of me and my. I know you've shown basically the entire Gooey Films catalog on the stream, so I'm very grateful for that. So,
and actually, you know what? It occurred to me the other day that there was one that we had not shown.
Which one?
Curse of the
Insect Woman. Oh, yes.
Curse of the Insect Woman, which, if it's okay with you, we're doing a For the Ladies stream this upcoming Saturday with Wasp Woman and a handful of other, Jesse James Frankenstein's daughter. Just a lot of, female-centric films.
Yes.
I'd love to show that.
Oh, sweet. Yes.
Awesome.
That fits right in with Wasp Woman.
There you go. There you go.
Cool.
Right on.
Awesome.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
No, I love what you do, man. I love showing your flicks, and people seem to dig them. And if they want to know more about what you got going on, I'll make sure there's a link in the show notes to the YouTube channel and the Joshua Kennedy Man of the Arts Facebook page.
Oh, thank you.
Are those the best places for people to find you?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right on. Otherwise, just head down to Texas and look for that Blair holding a video camera running around town, shooting 7 or 8 movies at once.
That'll be me.
So Kenny sent me his Famous Monsters of Filmland segment. after Josh and I did our recording, so I had absolutely no idea that Taste the Blood of Dracula was going to turn up in that article, as well as on my own personal list as the #1 film. So if it's not enough for you to hear me recommend Taste the Blood of Dracula, pay attention to Famous Monsters of Filmland. They usually know what they're talking about too. Check out the movie if you haven't seen it yet, or check out any of the movies that Josh and I broke down. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are, actually. If you have a Hammer film that you'd recommend people watch during Halloween, call it in or send me an email and let me know, and we'll share it with people on an upcoming episode of Monster Kid Radio.
You can call and leave a voicemail for Monster Kid Radio at 503-810-5MKR. That's 503-810-5657.
Or you can send an email to the podcast. monsterkidradio@gmail.com is the email address. That's monsterkidradio@gmail.com.
Feel the cold grip of his presence. Sense the clammy excitement of his evil. Taste the sharp fear that he alone can bring.
Dracula's blood.
This way, gentlemen. We know the way. These men thought they had tasted all that life had to offer.
Ready when you are, gentlemen.
Would you be willing to sell your souls to the devil?
If one thought that one's experience might be extended.
It would be extended to infinity.
There's someone there.
Dracula is back to choose his human victims.
Alice.
Who are you? How do you know my name?
Dracula is back to select his companions in darkness, who must die that he may live. If you shock easily, stay away.
She's neither dead nor alive.
Lucy! 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 Paxton! Paxton, listen to me! The mark's on her neck! She's a vampire!
Prepare yourself. Every nerve, every muscle.
No.
Prepare yourself for the greatest shock of all.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Big thanks to Mark and Kenny for their segments for the show, and big thanks to Josh for being part of the episode this week. Kind of pulling back the curtain here a little bit. Josh was kind of a pitch hitter. I was kind of scrambling, didn't know what I was going to record about this week, and Josh came in a clutch, man. He really hooked a brother up. So Josh, thank you. I'll make sure there are links to everything that Josh is up to in the show notes over at monsterkidradio.net. You can find out about Gooey Films and Joshua Kennedy, Man of the Arts, on Facebook. I'll also make sure there's a link to Mark Matzke's projects as well in the show notes. Of course, you can find our contact information over there too at monsterkidradio.net. You're going to find links to everything that we've talked about here in this episode. You're also going to find a link to where you can pre-order that Mill Creek box set of Hammer films that will include the Gorgon Blu-ray that Josh is doing a commentary track for. If you use the link that you find at the Monster Kid Radio site, you're helping the podcast out, because we get like, I don't know, a nickel or a quarter or something every time somebody uses one of those links. So if you're considering pre-ordering the set, please consider using that button. If you've already pre-ordered the set and the prices are still the same, maybe cancel the pre-order and then pre-order. You do what you got to do. But please consider using the links that you find on the website. You're also going to find a link to the band, of course, and a note about what's coming up next week on the show. And this time, I really know what we're doing. This time around, I'm going to be recording with somebody brand new to the show, a fellow podcaster named Erik, and he is the man behind the podcast Cineversary, which you can find over at tinyurl.com/Cineversary podcast. I'll make sure there's a link in the show notes, of course, as well. And we're going to talk about some old-time radio next week. At least that's the plan. Keep your fingers and tentacles crossed that it's going to happen. I haven't actually firmed up a recording time yet, but it should be ready to go by next week's episode. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the stream over at the Monster Kid Movie Club over at monsterkidmovie.club. This Saturday, we are dedicating the club to the ladies. We are doing, boy, I know I promised I would never do that again. I am so sorry. We're going to be showing movies that have a strong female lead or monster in them. We're going to be showing movies like Daughter of Horror, Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter, The Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman, The Wasp Woman, and you heard me talk about it with Josh. We're showing Curse of the Insect Woman as well. I've got a few other surprises up my sleeve, so make sure you pop into the stream on Saturday. Again, that's monsterkidmovie.club. We start at 11 a.m. Pacific with a pre-show with the movies kicking in at noon, again, Pacific, and it goes for several hours. There is an intermission as well as a round of the Classic 5 that we play with everybody live in the chat. I would love to see you guys and gals there, or at least see you guys and gals participating in the live chat. Also, there is an opportunity for you to win a brand new character from Stuffed with Character, courtesy of, well, Stuffed with Character and Tracy Morris. So please consider swinging by for that. So that's on Saturday. Starting the very next day, on Sunday, on October 25th, we're opening up the stream all week long for a Halloween week. We're going to be showing movies. We're going to be showing TV shows. We're going to be listening to old-time radio. We've got all kinds of Halloween treats for everybody. No tricks, nothing but treats in the stream, free of charge. There will be a live chat through some of it. There will be a subscription-only chat through some of it. I'm excited for this. It's going to be the biggest thing that we've done at the Monster Kid Movie Club, and I think you guys and gals are going to like some of the stuff I've got lined up. I've been talking to a number of independent filmmakers to get permission to show some of their movies as well, so it's not just going to be a bunch of the classics, not that there's anything wrong with a bunch of the classics. It's not going to be just revisiting movies that we've shown in the stream before, not that there's anything wrong with those movies either, but we're going to have some independent films in the mix too, including House of Ghosts from Christopher R. Mim, the movie AM 1200, and I just got permission to show a short film that I once saw at the Lovecraft Film Festival probably a decade ago called The Binding Silence. So that'll be lined up as well. Just a lot of really neat things. As we get closer to Halloween week, I'll be blabbing about it all over Twitter and Facebook, and I'll even put it on the website. So keep your eyes open for that. I'm excited. And I've got a lot of work to do, so why don't we go ahead and wrap this show up. Monster Kid Radio is a registered service mark of Monster Kid Radio, LLC. All original content of Monster Kid Radio by Monster Kid Radio, LLC is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 non-ported license. Of course, that doesn't apply to the song Night of the Golden Sun. That is copyright 2020, The Spiritones, which you can find at thespiritones.bandcamp.com. You can check out the new single. You can check out their other albums as well. Whatever you do, just let them know that you heard about them here on Monster Kid Radio. My name is Derek M. Cook. I'll talk to everybody next week. Ciao.